In 1991, voice director Andrea Romano was at her wit's end trying to cast the lead for a new animated program. Hundreds of interviews, and no one could yet fill the role. Frustrated, she asked her friend and casting agent, Anthony Borneo, who offered up a name: a Juilliard-educated New York classic actor who had zero experience with the character's history. At first, this actor wanted to voice any number of side characters as a means of going outside his usual realm. It wasn't until Romano pulled him aside and said, "Don't you get it? You would be in every episode. This is the role you should want." And so this actor considered the character's history, as described by Bruce Timm, and channeling the experiences of both his own life and characters like Edgar and Lear, Achilles, Orestes, and Henry V, this actor had an idea. 2 voices, one for the everyday lifestyle and one that spoke from a deep well of darkness and pain. The voice he discovered from looking into that darkness would become nothing short of iconic.
I am vengeance. I am the night. I am Batman.
For an entire generation, Kevin Conroy was the Batman, the pinnacle against which all other presentations would be measured. And to this day, his take on the character is one of the most interesting and complex. So for this review, I would like to explore what made Conroy's role so special, in addition to honoring Adam West, whose own Batman portrayal might not match the current atmosphere, but nevertheless contributed to the Batman legacy. So let's take a look at Beware the Grey Ghost.
When crime haunts the night, a silent crusader carries the torch of justice.
Nope, not quite. This narration goes to a hero several decades removed, Bruce's own idol, the Grey Ghost, a stand-in for the Shadow, whose own series was a heavy influence for Batman's inception.
Those with evil hearts, beware, for out of the darkness comes the Grey Ghost.
And the episode in question? The Mad Bomber.
Boom, baby, boom! I'm the evil midnight bomber what bombs at midnight!
Wrong cartoon, but I appreciate the nostalgia. Speaking of, we get a rare appearance of young Bruce Wayne, getting to be a normal child.
Bedtime right after Grey Ghost. Okay, Bruce?
But life imitates art as modern-day Gotham plastic goes up in smoke and Batman is on the scene. And as a side note, I doubt an episode like this could air in a post-9/11 world. Yet unlike other demonstrations of public destruction, this is treated with genuine impact. There's an emergency response teams, a crowd trying to understand what's happening, and the police on the scene. This isn't just shock value destruction, it's alarmingly realistic.
Pay up or pay the consequences. Signed the Mad Bomber.
And these similarities plague Batman's memory, even in his dreams. I have to wonder, how many times did we get to experience Bruce's life before the tragedy that birthed Batman? Already, this episode is taking some bold steps in showing just how Batman himself came to be.
Time for all little Grey Ghosts to be in bed.
Evidently, Batman is not a natural night owl, or bat. He had to work up to it.
How are the explosives getting past both police and bomb squad experts?
And what does it have to do with my old hero?
One aspect of Conroy's portrayal of Batman is to keep the Batman voice as the default. In every other Batman story I've witnessed, the Batman voice is a cover, and the hero reverts to a normal voice as Bruce Wayne.
I'm Batman.
Alfred, let's go shopping.
I'm touched, Alfred. But my birthday isn't until October. Stop this thing, Joker!
I was meant to inspire good. Not madness, not death.
This city just showed you that it's full of people ready to believe in good.
Conroy's portrayal is the only one that shows Bruce Wayne as the front and Batman as the genuine voice. Yet it wasn't always so. Jumping over to Batman, Mask the Phantasm for a moment, as Bruce Wayne struggles with the idea of pursuing his original plan.
I can't put myself on the line as long as there's someone waiting for me to come home. I know I made a promise, but I didn't see this coming. I didn't count on being happy.
It's only after fresh heartbreak that Batman's course is decided and the voice shifts.
I couldn't save her, Alfred.
Conroy does a brilliant job portraying these two identities within one man. He said that he looked into a dark place within, the place where one finds tragic Greek heroes. Because Batman's life, as explained by Bruce Timm, is a Greek tragedy. Yet it doesn't stop at the fictional world. A great deal of Conroy's own pain gave life to the voice. A life spent being mocked, excluded, and isolated because of his sexuality. You can read much about this in the 2022 edition of the DC anthology comic book Pride. But here's the biggest highlight. I often marveled how appropriate it was that I should land this role. As a gay boy growing up in the 1950s and 60s in a devoutly Catholic family, I'd grown adept at concealing parts of myself, of putting aspects of myself in a separate box and locking it away. Batman may be a Greek tragedy in the modern era, but he doesn't hold a monopoly on pain. Conroy was able to channel his own life and emotions into that role to create something truly unique. Speaking of tragedies, collectors and general geeks take it on the chin this episode, and it's not just Alfred's silent disapproval.
The studio that made that show, Spectra, it burned to the ground 20 years ago. The negatives went up like kindling. Sorry, pal.
But with a little extra digging, Bruce Wayne finds the original star, Simon Trent.
Lousy has-been actor.
Seems that Trent has been typecast, which closed off avenues for his career, a prospect his voice actor, Adam West, faced for a time. To quote the man himself, "What I did, I went out. I did regional theater. I did dinner theater. I did the Mark Taper Forum in LA. I did really crappy films. Anything I could to keep working and developing and pay the damn bills. And I feel, as an actor, that it is essential to keep practicing, keep using your instrument. So I did that. And after 5, 6, 7 years, I began to catch on with a few things. And after 10 years or so, I told myself, look, idiot, if people love Batman, if they enjoy it so much, and you know the whole family spectrum has made that apparent, then you better love it too, or there's something wrong with your head." West embraced his relation to Batman and his role in making it part of the daily culture. I think that if it weren't for West and his depiction of the campy Caped Crusader, we wouldn't have the more modern depictions today. This episode, however, shows a man on his last legs, despite an impressive display of strength. He's so desperate for money that he sells all his collected merchandise and the original suit to cover the rent. Yet when he awakens the next day, everything has been restored with a note asking for a meeting. And I gotta say, given the vagueness and the creepy restoration, Simon Trent has a tremendous amount of courage going to that meeting.
I need your help.
I do not blame Trent for booking it. Batman has done an effective job of becoming a symbol of fear for Gotham's criminals. The unfortunate side effect is that he can be the same for everyday citizens.
Still, it wouldn't be bad if people knew a little more about Superman. I don't want anyone thinking you're like that nut in Gotham City.
Trent's no help in remembering the Mad Bomber plot, and he wants nothing more to do with the role. Yet a strange sound preceding another bombing sparks his memory. One home invasion later, Trent is able to give Batman a backup reel of the original episode, along with a heaping helping of disappointment.
I used to admire what the Grey Ghost stood for.
I'm not the Grey Ghost.
I can see that now.
I've never bought into the phrase, never meet your heroes. That's not to say that disappointment isn't part of the process. It's a guarantee that the flesh and blood person you idolize will let you down in some aspect. I think it has more to do with learning not to idolize a person and instead recognize the ideals you may have assigned. Those ideals are worth pursuing, even if the real-life person can't measure up. But the tragedy in this is that it is the last lesson a hero can teach you. Once the imagery is broken, there's nothing more to learn. I think that's why fictional characters are such powerful means by which we can convey ideas. They can never have a bad day or make a mistake that isn't part of the greater narrative, and in doing so they can always impart a new idea. Even Batman seems captivated by the image of the Grey Ghost, especially after Simon Trent disappointed him. And I have to say, it's very bold of the animated series to present this part of Batman's history. Almost everything about Batman comes from that tragic night where his parents were killed. We rarely reach further back to those moments that keep him anchored on the side of the law. That includes the fact that he got to watch this show with his father, which is a territory in which no reviewer can trespass. A show might be a target of ridicule, criticism, or parody, but it might also hold memories of those who were watching it with you, or maybe it was part of a happy period in your life. While that doesn't diminish legitimate criticisms, it's also a valid point of your experience and something no reviewer can take away. Anyway, Batman finally finds the culprit.
That's it. That's the noise. You've got to be kidding me.
Really? You've seen fish modeled to look like the Joker, but an exploding toy car is a step too far? Well, unexpected or not, no toy car is a match for the Bat flamethrower. Guns may be a no-no, but flamethrowers remain flippin' awesome. Unfortunately, Batman falls for a decoy car that leads into a trap. Yet a handy rope gives him an exit. More talk about this later, but in the moment, Batman gets to see his childhood hero writ large.
Gray Ghost.
Yes?
You want to give me a hand with this?
A lot of actors would have stopped with Batman's angry voice, as that's the default we assume. Yet having found that voice in the darkness, Conroy was able to convey all sorts of emotions. That's what made him stand out and why he did such an exceptional job. We could sense the emotion behind every performance. After a brief car chase with more mini detonators, which are somehow powerful enough to keep up with one of the most advanced vehicles in the world, and inadvertently damaging an entire city block, the Gray Ghost gets his first view of the Batcave.
This place is amazing.
And at the center of it all is a small shrine to a happy moment in Batman's past.
As a kid, I used to watch you with my father.
So it wasn't all for nothing.
This hits on two important ideas. The first being that we never really know the extent our actions impact the world. Even a simple act of kindness can ripple out into larger impacts. So judging things by view counts or income or popularity is an incomplete summary. Adam West himself experienced this kind of feedback from fans. If somebody comes up and tells me, "I lost my father, he died when I was 5 and you became my father," I am deeply touched by that and their sincerity. A guy comes up and says, "Well, I became a judge and a crime fighter first because of you." I think to myself, well, hell, I don't deserve that. I was just some pretend crime fighter. The second aspect is of Batman himself. Despite a myriad of presentations and some questionable actions on his no-killing policy, the core of Batman isn't just someone who's looking to beat up criminals. Whenever possible, Batman saves. He didn't have to buy back all of Trent's merchandise or invite him along on this journey. He didn't even need Trent to flip that switch in the car chase. No, Batman did all that so that a man could know his work had an impact, that his life had meaning. And the thing is that Batman would do the same for any other villain in his rogues gallery. If he could save even one of them from the problems that plagued them, he'd be cautious, but he would help.
What do you want?
To help Maximilian Zeus.
Could it be Poison Ivy truly has reformed?
I want to believe it. Why can't I?
You can play those roles again, Hagen. Let me help you find a cure.
Just stay with me all day, risking your butt for someone who's never given you anything but trouble.
I know what it's like to try and rebuild a life.
Although when Trent's own fingerprints appear on the car, it looks like Batman's hero might be a deeper betrayal than disappointment.
Your prints are on this car. You had the only copy of the show. The Mad Bomber followed the show step by step.
I don't think Batman believes this. There's no accusation in his voice. It's more like he's laying out all the facts that would lead any reasonable person to make the connection. He knows what Simon Trent would face if this went public. The detective is now in the driver's seat. He is physically intimidating Trent, but that might be a technique to get the Gray Ghost to have an epiphany.
But I'm not the Mad Bomber, Batman. I'm not. I sold my Gray Ghost cars months ago to pay for my... No, it can't be him.
Yep, it's the Collector who bought all of Trent's stuff. I'm a little surprised they didn't try to make this character an early version of the Toyman, but I'm guessing that Superman the Animated Series wasn't on the table yet.
You see, I need the money to buy more toys. I love toys. Oh, the power of the toy. It can earn millions. Millions for the little old toy collector. Me.
Yes, collectors aren't really shown in the best light this time around. Batman seems to be standing still while this would-be mastermind monologues. I think he's just stalling so Simon Trent can make a grand entrance and bring this to a close. Batman is a guy who can escape life or death situations with just a jagged coin. A bunch of toys running in a circle is child's play. And again, Batman saves a life. Though as a collector, his days are over. We close out the story with Simon Trent enjoying a resurgence in popularity, thanks to his backup reels becoming public videos. Much the same way Adam West enjoyed a return to the public focus after Michael Keaton's Batman.
You know, as a kid, I used to watch you with my father. The Gray Ghost was my hero.
Really?
And he still is.
But we're not entirely done. The Gray Ghost would not be dismissed as a one-off, because he was still a part of Batman's life well past his prime, as we saw in Batman Beyond.
I don't even know what half this stuff is.
Way before your time.
This episode captures a lot of what makes Batman great and is one of the many testaments to Conroy's acting. It's also a respectful send-up to Adam West and his impact not just on a franchise, but American culture. And I don't just mean Batman calling the Commissioner on a red phone. The villainous Mad Bomber is almost an afterthought, with the real focus being the dynamic between two men who represent ideas of justice, courage, and determination. One an actor who rose to match the part, one a man who took inspiration from that portrayal. Given what little I know of Conroy's life according to his own public statements, a part of me hopes that no one would have to endure that kind of pain, and thus no one could match his portrayal of Batman. Yet that iconic voice speaks to us on so many levels: loss, isolation, duality, and sometimes the fear to speak up in an unkind world. Conroy gave that voice life, using his own emotions as a basis, and I hope that he knew how much that voice connected with people around the world, and perhaps helped them find a voice of their own. Both Conroy and Adams helped shape the Batman mythos and made it a staple of American culture, if not the world, and that impact will endure for many generations. I wish this was the only tribute video I needed to make, but there's another actor lost in 2022 that I need to praise. Join me next time as I look back at Jason David Frank and his contribution to the Power Rangers.